Hey, Randy Joe here, and this is 1001 Reviews. Today we're looking at Led Zeppelin's 1970 album, Led Zeppelin III. Led Zeppelin III was released under the Atlantic label, produced by Jimmy Page with art direction by Zakron. Nationality UK with a running time of 43 minutes and 1 second. The blurb reads, the third Led Zeppelin album entered the UK chart at the top, a week after starting its 4-week run atop the US chart, and was certified triple platinum. Inventive cover artwork housed a picture-packed wheel, which could be turned to present different images through cutaway windows in the outer sleeve. The thunderous Immigrant song became the group's second US top 20 single, but was not released as a single in the UK, where the group did not release any singles before 1997. The first side of the album delivered the expected high-octane hard rock, but the striking flip side was acoustic lead. Jimmy Page and Robert Plant having been particularly inspired by the music of folk artists Bert Jansch, John Fahey, and Davy Graham. Gallows Pole features pretty banjo playing alongside John Bonham's thumping drums, while Bron Y.R. Stomp is highlighted by flights of nifty acoustic guitar picking. The track is named after a cottage in North Wales owned by friends of Plant's parents, where Page and Plant worked on some of the album's material. 6 of the tracks were recorded with a mobile studio in the grounds of a country house in Hampshire, including Tangerine, its eloquent 12-string passages, an early blueprint for Stairway to Heaven, though the West Coast harmonies and country licks were atypical of Zepp. Hats Off to Roy Harper, dominated by shimmering slide guitar, is Page's tribute to the veteran English folk singer. Led Zeppelin III showed us a band as capable of subtlety as of heavy metal thunder. Written by JT being John Tobler. John Tobler has been writing about popular music since 1969 for such varied publications as Zigzag, Let It Rock, Melody Maker, NME, Sounds, Record Mirror, F-Roots, Music Week, Billboard, and Country Music People. He is the author of over 20 published books on rock music, including ABBA Gold, 25 Years of Rock, The Record Producers, and The Guitar Greats, as well as biographies of Elton John, Elvis Presley, The Beach Boys, The Doors, among others. Very well-written, well-listened man that good old John Tobler is. Led Zeppelin III opens up with the extremely iconic and well-known Immigrant song, which has quickly become one of Led Zeppelin's most well-known, well-renowned songs, up there with songs like Stairway to Heaven. It begins with its very intense and extremely well-beloved guitar riff, pairing quite nicely with the barbaric screaming led by Robert Plant. The very loud vocalization gives off very well to the themes of the song, which is about a Viking invasion. This becomes very evident with some of the lyrics talking about Valhalla and other references to Viking lore. I particularly like how the verses are very hushed and lower, while the chorus is far more louder and epic and grand in scale. This song does not drag on too much and keeps itself short, instead opting to go straight to the point with its themes and style. It is one of the hardest rocking songs Led Zeppelin has ever put out, and definitely the hardest rocking song on this album. The second song, Friends, is about just that. The themes of friendship throughout this song are sung very beautifully and very nicely over the acoustics of the song, which is a detour in Led Zeppelin's well-known hard rocking style. And the acoustic guitars are also joined in by strings, which is also something Led Zeppelin had not dabbled in too much. In fact, as far as I know, this was the first instance of strings being used in their music. Robert Plant's vocals become more and more aggressive as the song carries on, along with the increasingly aggressive acoustic playing and strings becoming more and more grand in scale. I love how this song ends and transitions into the next song, leading right into the song Celebration Day. Celebration Day is a bit more complex, as it is about getting out of poverty and exploring the world once you have that freedom. They talk of ideas of a promised land, speaking of how they will be more free and more alive as they are no longer tied by the economy. The celebratory themes are also reinforced by the very energetic and upbeat instruments that play throughout. I particularly like the strumming of the guitar on this one, played by Jimmy Page, as it constantly shifts between rapidly playing fast and carrying on a more long-driven country tune. However, even still, I do find that this song isn't as good as the first two songs, although still quite enjoyable. Which is completely fine, as the next song more than makes up for it. Since I've Been Loving You is one of my favorite songs on this album. If not, it is my favorite. I particularly like the slow build that this one goes for. I have a very soft spot for songs that start off subtle and quiet and work their way up to something grand and epic, which this album does do consistently. It's just here they do it at the most grand way possible. The song stretches out at 7 minutes long, continuously building and building and building. Robert Plant's vocals are also shown off quite a bit here, as he does go over a wide vocal range. At the beginning, he's just speaking very warmly. It doesn't sound like he's singing, rather he is just talking. But as it goes on, he does incorporate his iconic high-pitched screaming-like vocals, but also shifts back to his talking hushed voice. There's also a very subtle Hammond organ playing in the background throughout the entirety of the song, really taking us back to their blues roots that they've become known for. But when this song finally does continually build and hit its breaking point is when Jimmy Page comes in with a guitar solo, and he absolutely rips and shreds through this song. He is just exploding onto the scene and letting a river of sound flow out. This song does show off the different talents of each band member quite well, as they each play a vital role in building and building and building upon this slow and subtle song, which does break away. If I were to compare this song to anything, I would say it sounds very much like the Beatles' I Want You, She's So Heavy song off of Abbey Road. It is very heavy rock and very ominous with its tone. A bit disappointing is that this song is followed up by Out on the Tiles, which is the weakest song on the album for me. Other than the very strong guitar riff that plays throughout this song, there isn't too much more going for it, and there isn't anything we haven't already heard from the other songs on the album. This song is not nearly as epic or as grand as something we have come to expect from Led Zeppelin at this point, nor is it as subtle and laid back as some of the other tracks on this album. It is almost like it doesn't know what it wants to be and doesn't give me anything we haven't already heard. It's a bit disappointing. Then we get the sixth song, Gallows Pole, which is a cover of the song The Maid Free from the Gallows by Francis James Child. This is another song that carries on the themes from the earlier song Celebration Day, since it is more politically driven by the rich versus poor economics. As the main character in this song is going to the gallows pole and about to be hung, and he's pleading for money from his friends, but they don't have it, which leads us to believe that not only do the poor have lesser of a chance when being sentenced to death, but it also shows off that the poor are more likely to be crucified or held accountable for their wrongdoings, while the rich are able to get off easy. This is maybe the most blues type song on the album, except for maybe the last one, as this one does interpolate a banjo and acoustic guitar playing alongside the electric guitar and very pummeling drumming. I really love at the 3-minute and 20-second mark, we do get this chanting vocalizations in the background. They are chanting alongside as Jimmy Page yelps and screams his heart out. This is a very fast-paced, knee-bouncing kind of song that gets your entire body moving with its rhythm. And that's great, because onto the next song, we get a more, again, laid-back song with Tangerine. Now, Tangerine is also among one of my favorites of Led Zeppelin in general. I love how laid back and relaxed this song is. It's far more acoustic based than anything else on this album, and strips back any hard rock influences that previous songs have had. It's a very soft breather after the grand track that was Gallows Pole. Its carefree vibe really influences and brings out the theme of the story, which is about this singer mourning over the loss of a dream woman. He reminisces and thinks about her and talks about her being the reflection of a dream, stating that she is just that perfect and beyond imagination. This is the kind of song that you could have a very nice drive to. Then we get That's the Way, which is another more laid back, more soft acoustic type tone. There are very interesting vocal effects placed over Plant on the chorus of this song, which I like because we don't get enough vocal effects placed over Plant at all in this one, except for maybe 2 or 3 songs off the album. Vocal effects are something I do have a weak spot for, as it can change the entire sound and style of a song. And this song is a bit sadder with its themes of the loss of a friend, which kind of parallel nicely with the last song, that one being the loss of a girl, while this song is the loss of a friend. The narrator didn't want the friendship to end and now wonders if his friend had made new friends. I really enjoy the last minute of this song where a tambourine comes in and Robert Plant's vocals fade out entirely. It is just instruments in this last minute made up of the instruments we already have in the song, such as the acoustic guitar and the drumming, but is paired also with a shaker and tambourine, filling the void of Robert Plant's voice. Then we get the 9th song, Braun Wire Stomp, which has a very hard thumping drumming playing at the beginning of the song, paired nicely with more acoustics. Now this song, carrying on the continuous theme of friendship that has been running through this album, this one is about the friendship of a dog. He talks about how he will call his dog's name and his dog will come running to him just at the very call. This is one of the most wholesome songs, as he talks about how when his dog gets older and is not as young as he used to be, he will not abandon him and he will not replace him. He will be with his dog until the very end. There is a shaker and a clapping beat that come into the song, as well as clickers that give off continuous laid-back style with the acoustics and thumping drum. With the final song, Hats Off to Roy Harper, it is a tribute song to famous blues musician Roy Harper. And even though this song is a tribute to Roy Harper, it does borrow lyrics from, or maybe I should say steal lyrics from, the song Shake 'Em Down by Bucka White. Led Zeppelin is no stranger to stealing material from others and not giving the credit they deserve. And this is an example of that, as the lyrics are taken directly from Bucka White. Even still, I enjoy the very strenuous guitar work that is playing in this song, which plays up and down the guitar very loosely. Plant's vocals are played with a very strong effect, overlaying him, really adding to the blues style. I feel like this specific sound and effect is used very much so by artists today like Jack White, which does it for the songs on this album. So with the exception of the song Out on the Tiles, this album is full of bangers, both traditionally and hard rocking, with the first half of this album making more for the hard rock pummeling style that we've come to love from Led Zeppelin, and the latter half of this album making up more of a acoustically driven, soft, laid-back type of vibe, which really do show off Led Zeppelin's more range, as they are able to bounce back and forth between these two styles very smoothly and very easily without being too jarring or out of the realm for them. It is very interesting to see how diverse they can be with their sound. The themes of friendship that run throughout, as well as some political themes, really embrace this album and put it up higher for me, as this does look at multiple aspects of friendships and relationships. They deal with the very traditional sense of friendship while also dealing with relationships, and even going to the friendship of man and his dog. This theme really does bring it all into one. Without a theme running out like this, it would make the acoustics and hard rocking almost kind of fall apart and feel like a random batch of songs, but since it does have one concept carrying through, it does really make it feel as one. Keep in mind though that songs like Immigrant song do kind of pull away from this album. It does feel like maybe the biggest outlier in this album. It almost feels like it doesn't really fit, or like it was only made to be a single to push this album even more than it already was. I really enjoy songs like Tangerine and Friends, as they are far more laid back and relaxing and seem to fly under most music listeners, and I don't think they should, as I think they are some of the best that Led Zeppelin has to offer, even the most unique Led Zeppelin has to offer. Still, I tend to wonder if this album really is at all essential. Could I have gone through my entire life not hearing this entire album? Probably. I wouldn't have known, but am I glad to have heard it? Yeah. Do I think everyone must hear it? Not so much. Even with this album being so great, it isn't as impactful or as important as some of the later Led Zeppelin albums. I mean, the next album has fucking Stairway to Heaven, for God's sake. So if I were to rate this thing overall, I would say that it is definitely a higher praised album and deserves attention from Led Zeppelin fans, but doesn't need attention from the masses. So for that, I give this album an 8.7 out of 10. That is the rating it gets. However, I am also giving it the NE. It's not essential, it's not as important as some of their later albums, and it isn't even that important as far as albums go. But again, if you're a fan, give this one a listen. It's very, very good. The next album that we are going to listen to is number 498, which is Grandmaster Flash, The Message. You have exactly 1 week from the release of this video, which will be out next Friday, Grandmaster Flash, The Message. So give it a listen and I will see you there. That pretty much does it for this video. So please, if you like this video, give it a like. If you want to follow me on my journey of listening to all 1001 albums from the 1001 Albums to Listen to Before You Die book, then please hit subscribe and join along as I will announce every single album at the end of each video, announcing the album coming out exactly 1 week from that release. This Tuesday we will have Minor Threats Out of Step, and next week Friday we will have Grandmaster Flash's The Message. Thank you for watching, and I will see you Tuesday.